And I am, Garrett, I've been looking forward to this discussion, well, for a long time, but really for a couple of weeks, because last week I got to see your product in action. And I am super charged up to meet you and learn about this product and how we can really reinvent mobility products for consumers, because they're really in the dark ages, and design, stigma, the whole 9 yards. But before we jump into your product, and I see Petra is there with a demo, which is this is a great setup. I did a little search on your background. You have an interesting background. So before we dive into this, I would love for you to sort of share your background. And for those of you who want a little behind the curtains, if you watched Monday Night Football last night, Garrett's fingerprints are all over any pro football game that you watch these days. Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Steve, glad to be here. Can you tell by my voice, which is like the voice of a giant clam this morning? I'm in the midst of a flu episode, so I may black out for some discreet nose blowing, and I'm sorry, apologize to all for that. Yes, I've had a very interesting life. I started as a little filmmaker in Philly, and I invented something that ended up in the movie business. And, I have to say that was almost 50 years ago, and it's still going strong. So it was called Steadicam. And Steadicam is a machine that works with people. It's useless without a human being. It works really well with a human being so that it stabilizes the camera if you're walking and running. And I was thinking about that the other day, because this product, Zeen, is a machine that fills a huge gap in functioning with people, very interactively with people, very, all entwined with human functions. And these functions range from sitting to standing to being in a bar stool position up among sociable humans, and to, most importantly, for getting around safely in a way that is almost at times exhilarating and fun, which you apply those words to a walker, for example. And, many wheelchair users are amazingly athletic and, get around beautifully with them, but it has to be said that they're stuck at wheelchair altitude in most cases. So we were looking at a huge gap between those two objects. And I'm sort of, trained to, at this point, to look for stuff that's missing. The football thing, what was missing was a camera that flies overhead, cold sky cam, incidentally. An odd jump from that stuff to this, but boy, this has been quite an experience.
Well, I tell you, number one, hats off to you for just a very innovative and interesting career, and changing all of our lives with those products that are used in the entertainment industry and what have you. But I love it when somebody is able to transition from another industry into this senior living, mobility, whatever you want to call this, healthcare, with an eye like yours for innovation, because this is how we're going to change the what we've got out there now, and it's ripe for change, that's for sure.
Well, that is true. And may I introduce my colleague and dear friend Petra Rose, who is our resident doctor of physical therapy. And Petra can do most of the talking, because you can hear that my vocal instrument is impaired.
That would be great. And now just for both of you, so I know we're going to get a demo, but I love hearing the backstory on these things. Okay, so tell us a little bit about how long has this product been in development, and then when did you actually launch it for sale?
Well, these things have a long gestation period, you might say. I was with my dad in 2013, actually, as he was declining. And I've told this story and made it rather threadbare, but it's true. I was looking at his friends on walkers and wheelchairs. In those long weeks, when you're with somebody, you can't help but imagine yourself in their place, and I did not want to be in the place where those were my only options. But I was thinking about geriatric souls, and as it turns out, this is really our most important clientele are the disabled, because our old folks are change averse up to a point, and the cost of a Zeen is what they used to pay for a car. But the disabled community is wild for change. They want their lives improved. They're agile in many ways, if not simply in ambulating. and that has proved to be a spectacular market for us for Parkinson's, MS, cerebral palsy, wounded warriors, stroke rehab, a vast population of people that still want to go. They still have lives to lead, and they want to go safely and without, being restrained by the means. And they want their feet on the ground. They want to be able to actually propel themselves up to the point where they simply can't. And that's one amazing thing about this, is that people who can barely stand on their own, and people who cannot safely walk on their own for all these reasons, can have part of their weight supported, be held in the center of the Zeen by a very easy to use seatbelt, and poof, off they go.
I love it. All right. And you're preaching to the choir. I'm actually, in the winter, I'm an adaptive snowboard instructor. And so, one of the things for adaptive snow sports is we have a lot of people with disabilities that still want to live athletic, engaging lives and get around. And it's horrible and heartbreaking that when folks are confined and not be able to get around and be active. So, and it's Petra, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Petra. Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
If I'm the first person to botch your name, I sincerely apologize, but I doubt I am.
Only the most recent.
No.
Petra. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Petra, I think it would be great if you could give us all a demo, and I'll say to our audience, if you've got any questions or anything that you'd like to see, jump on in and type those questions in Q&A.
Yeah, 100%. I did see one note come up there. I saw, I think Terry was commented about her mom recently falling. And everybody you can hear me okay right now?
Yeah, you sound great.
With improper use of a walker. So yeah, I will give you a little introduction here to the Zeen. As Garrett mentioned, I'm a physical therapist. So I've been involved with the Zeen team here now for a little more than 3 years. Steve, you had asked, when did we come to market? We came to market back in April this year. So the Zeen is available for purchase. I'm at our headquarters in Westchester, Pennsylvania right now. We are taking orders on our website and shipping them directly to the owner. We can do Zoom calls like this. I actually had one scheduled this morning, and unfortunately we got time zones confused. So it was supposed to be at the same time as this right now. But so I do training sessions with folks. Intro, I can do a demo just like I'm going to do for everyone now. The training I was going to do is for a gal who purchased a unit, has had it for a couple weeks now, and coordinated with her trainer so that we could be on a call together, so the trainer could see it, they could get some tips and tricks. So whether it's with a trainer, the owner of the Zeen, their therapist, whomever it is. So without further ado, the Zeen, as Garrett mentioned, we do have a seat belt. It magnetizes to the armrests so that when you are going to use the seatbelt, you're not digging around for it, trying to find as it slips down, because I know seatbelts on pretty much anything else, they always get lost. So you can see, I stepped off of the Zeen, so you can also see it's a bicycle seat type design. The purpose of the bicycle seat, a couple things. One, it's going to help to keep the person centered, and two, it's going to help to prevent falls. Same thing with the seatbelt. I've gotten a lot of questions, especially thinking about the community of people who maybe are experiencing dementia or Alzheimer's or any other types of cognitive deficits, and is the seatbelt a restraint? Depending on the facility, yes, there are going to be places that are going to say it's a restraint, we can't use it. Hopefully we're looking at the individual who is using it and not the facility as a whole, so that, you know, the person that's using it, if they are cognitively intact, that the seatbelt is there for safety reasons. It's going to help to prevent falls as well, and also allows the user to become hands-free as they get more comfortable with the Zeen. So all that said, I'm going to you can see right now, this is in seated mode. It's roughly the same size as a standard wheelchair. Okay, 25.5 inches wide. So it's going to fit through your standard door. No, in the Northeast, that can be a little tricky because there are plenty of non-standard doors that were here long before the standards existed. So armrests are fixed in place. On the armrest is a lift mechanism. So it's a lever here right under the armrest. It's by squeezing those that releases the lift. There are no batteries, no motor. It's 2 gas springs that propel the seat from sitting to standing, and you can stop anywhere in between, and I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. As I mentioned, the armrests are fixed in place. We also have handlebars, which can rotate back, move all the way out of the way. They are free moving from tucked in next to the backrest all the way up until they lock in place in the far forward position. These handlebars travel with the seat, so they are going to come up and they're going to be at that appropriate level for how we would normally measure a cane, a walker, crutches, anything like that, so that there's a bit of a bend in the individual user's elbow, and they're comfortably holding onto the handlebar. The handlebar is where our brakes are. We have 2 versions of brake. The first is the long handle is a coasting brake. So just like on a bicycle, you would squeeze that if you're going down a slope, it's going to slow you down. We also have a shorter tab, a little harder to see from the overhead camera here, but when you squeeze both, now I've engaged my parking brake. So it's a double squeeze. Rollator walkers, it's a squeeze for coasting and a push for parking. Different devices have brakes that work different ways. So this is how ours is, that it's that double squeeze for the parking brake. So I always tell everyone to make sure that they lock their brakes before they sit down on it. It's going to minimize movement as much as possible. There is still some movement even with both brakes locked because all 4 wheels are on casters. The locks are stopping the rear wheels from turning, but they can still swivel on the casters. Okay, so I'll take a seat here on the Zeen and show you how all of the functions work. First, I'm going to fasten my seatbelt. I fasten it, but I'm not going to tighten it. And what you're going to see is as I'm sitting here, there are retractors on the seatbelt. So I'm not tightening because if I tightened it, then my hips are held back in the chair. In order to stand up with the Zeen, I need to be able to move forward to the edge of the chair to stand up, just like I would stand up from any other chair. All right. So I slide myself forward. I've got both of my brakes locked right now to minimize my movement as much as possible. And now I'm going to squeeze the levers on the armrest to release the lift mechanism. Now, if you noticed, as I was standing next to the Zeen, I squeezed those levers and nothing happened. Safety mechanism built in there. If there is no weight on the seat or there is too much weight on the seat is not going to release. So as I'm getting onto the Zeen, if I squeeze the levers, it's not going to suddenly release and come up and smack me in the backside. Okay. But when I am sitting on it and I'm sitting at the front edge, I squeeze the levers and now I just lean my body forward. The gas springs are helping to lift me up. We have 2 settings that are set before the Zeen leaves the factory here. One is the amount of lift that we are giving. So that is based upon the user's weight. We can lift anyone from 100 to 250 pounds. The low end 100-pound is that we could put lighter gas springs on this, but with our current gas springs, anyone under 100 pounds, they're going to have trouble sitting the seat back down, okay, because of the upward force that gas spring is giving. The upper weight limit, we can go up to 250 currently. We have 1 model at present. We do have plans to go both larger and smaller in the future, so that we can accommodate larger weight ranges. As I mentioned, we can do a lighter gas spring for someone that does weigh less. And that is, I've experienced that with some elderly folks who have tried the Zeen, that, you know, it's a frail older woman who weighs 90 pounds and just doesn't have the upper body strength to be able to sit herself down with it. Okay. So now that I'm standing, if you can see from the side here, my seat belt is a little bunchy behind me. So this is where I'm going to, I like to grab the tails and pull forward so I can see how much slack I need to take up, and then out to the sides, and it's going to snug right up against my hips. Okay, so now you can see that the seat belt is taut behind me. You can also see the prow of the seat is here just between my legs. So as I'm standing with my heels directly under my hips, the prow of the seat is between my legs, the seat belt is on and snug. If I should lose my footing at all, it's going to help to catch me. Okay. When I'm moving with this,
Hey, Petra,
yes.
there's somebody talking in the background.
Oh,
Could
sorry.
you see if they could just, we've had a few people comment on that.
Yeah, we have it's an open office space. I apologize. And Dan is on the call with the customer.
No worries. I just wanted to, a few people have mentioned it. I just wanted to make sure to let you know.
Yeah, I apologize. I'll see. Is it any better? I know he tried to just lower his voice.
Don't worry about it. Just keep
Okay.
on going. And
Okay. Sorry, everybody. All right. So as far as moving with the Zeen, when I'm standing, I've got most of my weight on my legs right now, a little bit of support under my backside from the front edge of the seat. So from here, now I can stand and I can walk normally. Okay, I can get full extension in my hip. So for any therapists that might be on here and they're looking at it and wanting to do gait training with someone, it is an excellent gait training tool. As the person is moving with it, they're able to, as they get comfortable with it, be able to be more hands-free. Okay. Because all four wheels are on casters, I can turn in a tight spot. So I can turn right on the point, and not, and so I can turn in a relatively tight space. So if it's a small kitchen, I should be able to turn around in it pretty easily. The other thing I can do is I can sit some of my weight back on the Zeen. Now you can see my feet have come in front of me. They're out closer to those front wheels. And now I can coast or glide. So I can cover more ground with less effort. In retirement communities, and this is where what Garrett was, where his original plan came from, his original idea, his parents lived in an apartment in a retirement community with these long hallways that they had to navigate to get to the dining room. And his mother was a very popular lady. She got stopped all the time. And as she's walking with her walker and hunched over the walker, she's getting tired, or she's sitting down on the walker and now she's sitting down and she's looking up at everybody. So now she's craning her neck. All of these things that we know occur with a walker, right? So that's where he was looking at, there's got to be a better way to get from point A to point B, to do it comfortably, to do it, you know, at just a more comfortable way to do things. The other thing too, I put my cup holder on the side here and I think my water bottle is just too full. Let me just get rid of that. So the other thing is, for when his mom would get stopped, or for anybody that's using this, and everyone's standing around and talking, I don't need to continue standing. If I get fatigued, I can always lock my brakes, pick a foot up onto one of these footrests here and slide myself back. And now I am sitting at my normal eye level. So we refer to this affectionately as bar stool mode. It's my own personal bar stool. It is my normal standing height. So when I'm ready to get moving again, I'm just going to slide myself forward, bring my feet back down to the ground. I'm not hopping down off of something. If I am sitting at that elevated level, or I'm going to pull up to a table, a kitchen counter, anything like that, I'm also able to move those handlebars back out of the way. So now you're seeing me, not the device. I'm able to get close to whatever it is that I'm pulling up to. So if we go out with family and you're out at a restaurant and the only tables available are the bar height tables, you can still comfortably sit at a table such as that on your own personal comfortable chair. Finally, the Zeen is able to be pushed. So for the person that is using it, if they do get fatigued, they're with family, friends, whomever, they can always lower themselves down a little bit from that maximum standing height so that they can still make use of these footrests, slide back, they can move the handlebars out of the way, and now their friend, whomever is with them, can push them as well. As I mentioned, this is our only model currently. We do have plans for many different accessories. One is eventually to be able to add a motor. So if you are using it outside and you're going up a hill, you'll be able to turn that motor on. So it's going to give you assistance to get up the hill, kind of like an electric assist on a bicycle. We have alternate foot plates that will fold down a little bit lower. We do have a cup holder that you can't tell. It blends in nicely, all of our black here. But it's a soft-sided cup holder that just sits right on the numbered strut, which is where our elevation happens. I did see one question pop up about, can it go into a car? Yes, very easily. The Zeen can fold with the seat at any height. It will fold most compact when the seat is all the way down. Okay, so I'm at my lowest height right now. I mentioned that the seat belt has magnets on it, so it'll magnetize the armrests. When we're going to fold, we recommend that you drape it over the backrest so it stays out of the way. The retractors are out of the way then as well. And then I have two red handles. One here on the back frame, and the second is right here on the side of the seat. When I pull up on both of those red handles, I just pull up and it's going to slide together. I make sure that my handlebars are all the way down in, and I can just keep sliding that together. And now you can see it's about 11 inches wide when it's folded. We also included a few folding straps. This one right here, there's one on the front. That's the one we recommend using day to day. It's a Velcro strap and a D-ring. So you can Velcro it together. So when you do go to pick it up, it's not going to try to open up on you. The weight of the Zeen is about 40 pounds. We do know that for not just the elderly community, but anyone, 40 pounds might be a little bit too much to try to lift in and out of the trunk of a car. So we did also actually create a trunk loading tool, which makes it feel like you're lifting about 20 pounds instead of 40. It creates a pulley system in the trunk of the car. We have put this in trunks as small as a Toyota Prius, a small Honda, I think a Honda Civic. So we put it in many different sizes of trunks. Even the smallest ones, if it won't fit flat, it could angle in. And yeah, so lots of options on that avenue too.
All right. Well, we've got plenty of questions coming in.
Awesome.
And, great demo there.
Thank you.
Okay. So we talked about it being easy to get in and out of a car. How much does it weigh? You mentioned 35 to 40 pounds. I did a quick search on the internet. That's about the same weight of a traditional wheelchair. And
Yes.
So if you've got a loved one or you're in a community and you're transporting wheelchairs already, it actually appears to compact smaller than the traditional old-fashioned wheelchair there, as I can see the one there in the corner that you've got. The Robert Pearson asks, has the Veterans Health Administration purchased any products yet?
Not yet. We're working on getting on sam.gov. So we're working on all the process of being able to sell to the VA. So not yet, but definitely working on it. And if you have any pointers, tips, anybody that you know we should talk to, please send them our way.
Absolutely, folks. Yeah, this for all sort of startup we love featuring startup products and inventions and companies on here, and a lot of times the connections within our community can help you all get to that first step, because as somebody who does work with a lot of wounded warriors, I could see where again, one of the things that I love about the Zeen is it's a cool looking design. And the stigma of a traditional walker and wheelchair is the worst enemy against that. It's medical equipment. This looks like something fun and cool to be out there with. and I threw your website in there on the chat, but I'm going to do a quick screen share here. If you go to the gozeen.com, you can see a bunch of demos of the product. As you can see here, guys walking down a beach ramp, and just the product in action. I think when I saw, where was it, that photo of a gentleman on the golf course, that's what really encouraged me to reach out to you all, because I know a lot of folks would like to get back out there and enjoy some of the things that they enjoy doing. So Carol Ragsdale asks, is a PT, physical therapy, evaluation for the patient required to purchase? What about a doctor's prescription for insurance reimbursement?
Excellent questions. No on both counts. One, we don't have insurance coverage currently. The Zeen, because you are propelling with your legs, the Zeen falls into a walker category. We did have someone, a Medicare reimbursement specialist, dig into things for us a few months ago. And despite, even trying to bundle the lift and the walker and call it a gait trainer, multiple different things that we could try to bundle together, it just isn't feasible right now, at least from a Medicare reimbursement standpoint. We did meet someone. We were at the Abilities Expo immediately the day prior to meeting you, Steve. We were at the Abilities Expo in Miami, and we did have somebody there who gave me some information that I need to follow up with about submitting to Medicare after the fact anyway. So we're gonna keep working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a huge hurdle for a lot of folks, product developers, getting that reimbursement, whether it be Medicare, insurance, what have you. And I know that for some in the audience is probably disappointing, because we're all sort of like geared towards not paying for things. But I can tell you, as I sort of look at this product and think, and the comments that people have shared with me about it, how this could change somebody's life, and figuring out if we can get the funds. The other thing that is that for this is for folks in the audience to check out. I know in the adaptive sports arena, there are a lot of products that our clients have to pay for, like a bike, for example, that is adaptive. And, looking at nonprofits, churches, faith-based organizations that you're aligned with, because a lot of times there's organizations out there that would love to make a donation to purchase a product like the Zeen, so that a member of their church or club or organization could utilize it. So just think about that from a creativity point of view. Margot asks, sorry if I missed it, what is the shortest and tallest stature that this current version accommodates? I work with some folks with really long legs.
You didn't miss it. I didn't specifically go over that. We go.
I have long legs.
It actually doesn't work for Garrett. He's too tall. His legs are too long.
I'm 2 inches too tall at 6'6". It's good up to 6'4", but I couldn't in good conscience make it for my small population of 6'6" cohort. So the minimum is what, 4'11", something like that.
4'11", and it's leg length based. So it's your standover height.
Okay.
Because what we're looking at is how high does the seat need to come to comfortably give you support at your backside, not put pressure in the groin. And so everybody is going to be a little bit different on that too. I mean, I know myself, I'm 5'2". My sister's also 5'2". Her legs are 2 inches longer than mine. So, we do have a video on our website demonstrating how to take that standover height measurement, that it's your leg length, but it's kind of your inseam plus, that extra couple inches beneath the inseam, and making sure you're wearing the shoes that you normally be wearing, all of that. So I think at seated height, the height of the seat is 21 inches.
Okay.
The first level up is about 24. So we're saying anywhere from 24 to, I think, 38 inches. Dan, am I right? Yes, 36, 24 to 36 inches.
Okay.
Is the standover height. Someone at that 21, they're just not going to get the lift benefit out of it. But that's where we definitely do have plans to go both smaller and larger, for people that are taller, for people that weigh more, for people that are smaller and weigh less. So we have
Yeah,
plans.
and I could see where this could be an amazing product for children with disabilities as well as older adults, and enable mobility. But 4'11" to about 6'4", that pretty much covers the most people that are out there. Let's see, Margot wanted to just confirm if you ship to Canada and other international locations.
Not yet. We're registered with the FDA. We have the ability to sell and ship within the United States currently. We certainly will be expanding internationally, but there's all of the regulatory bodies in every other country that we need to make sure that we're following their rules before we start shipping Zeens out of the country.
Oh, wow. So now what is the umbrella that this product falls under in terms of international regulation?
That is an excellent question that I don't have a great answer to. I think it is medical equipment, and because it is medical, that is why there are regulations that are going to be surrounding it. Garrett, do you know any better or no?
No, I think you hit it. You said it exactly right. Each country, each region, has their own situation.
Okay.
No, none of them should be a problem, but you need to formally register. So that we will do. We have had lots of people buying Zeens in the country, and dare we say, they disappear from this country. May appear somewhere else. In fact,
yeah, there have been a few, probably a half a dozen, that have left the U.S., but they've been.
I think I may, even at this point, say that the Vatican requested one for Pope Francis, and I flew to Rome with my wife and handed it off to the Pope's infirmary, his private medic and his security people. I have no evidence that Pope Francis has used it yet, but they thought it was important for him and that he could. So that, I suppose you could consider that.
Yeah,
well, customer of sorts.
Let me tell you, if you get any validation that the Pope used the Zeen, let us know, because that's very newsworthy. Okay, Mary Ellen Jorgensen, I know we've talked about reimbursement a little bit, but I was waiting for this question to come. What is the cost of this?
Excellent question as well. Our retail price is $3,800.
Okay.
And that is for a standard unit. I mentioned this is the only model we have. This is the only size we have. We do have two versions. One, the one that I'm on, you use both hands to control things. So you need both hands to squeeze the lifting levers. Each brake controls its own side. We do also have a unit that you're able to control with either hand. So for someone that has experienced a stroke or has some other reason that they don't have strength in one hand, or maybe they have an amputation of one upper extremity or something like that, and they only have one hand to use, we do have a unit that you can use either hand for. So you don't even need to specify which. Just say, I need a one-hand unit. And in that instance, that does incur an additional fee. So it's around $4,300 is the base, is the retail price for that.
And Melissa has a great question. Do you rent out or let rehab facilities trial for a period of time or use it as a therapeutic tool?
We are working on building a demo or loaner program so that, yes, rehab facilities could have one for a month or 2 months or something like that, so that they could see, are they using it in the rehab facility? Is it useful before they purchase one? We also, for the rehab facilities that say, I know I'm going to use that, they can purchase one themselves. And we do, we have rates for clinic purchase and things like that.
I love it. So we'll make sure to share your contact with everybody so you can reach out, folks can reach out. I mean, my kind of thought, I was thinking sort of in the same lines as Melissa, if you have 2 or 3 of these things around a rehab or an assisted living, and people are just using them amongst people using other types of mobility equipment, I think it's a no-brainer. It's like, I want one of those. It's like, why am I using this Stone Age piece of equipment when I could really be experiencing a much more mobile, and I should say, especially with that strap there, a safer aspect.
Absolutely.
I have a personal story, Steve, about that. I had my knees replaced in the late fall of 2019, and I was at a local, I had both of them done. I was at a local rehab place. And of course, even then I had a prototype of the Zeen. And the first time I saw them, you know, get me laboriously into a wheelchair with a walker on my lap and tied up a caregiver pushing me down the long hall to the gym. And I said to myself, aha, I have a secret weapon here, but they wouldn't allow me to bring it in because I suppose, you know, it wasn't registered at the time or whatever. It was a liability matter, but it was very irritating to me every day for almost 2 weeks to be pushed down this hall and then get onto my walker and then, you know, because one of the things about this is autonomy. You know, a person, a patient, is way more autonomous on the Zeen. And instead of being in a gait training, you know, parallel bars hung from above, get on the Zeen, go down to the cafeteria, you know. Don't be limited to the hour of therapy, you know.
I totally agree. And, you know, when you were talking about your prototypes, when I was surfing around on your website, I saw this photo of you here with your prototypes. And yeah, as an inventor myself, I can really appreciate, I love sort of seeing images like that, because to get to the product that you've got there, which is really beautiful, and I know it will evolve over time. It takes a lot of visits to the hardware store, and you know, 3D printing, the whole 9 yards. So
yeah, as we know, when you're working in a space where there's nothing, you can't find it on your screens. There's nothing to copy. You've got to figure out, particularly a machine that works with people, you've got to figure out how the darn people like it in every aspect.
let's see. Margot says possibly consider teaming up with BE a link to advocate for funding of atypical innovative projects like yours. Margot, that's a great idea.
Yeah, we're familiar with her. We're familiar with her device and like the way she handles it. It's good.
Excellent. Sid Blair says your website mentions discounts. What can be applied to reduce the cost?
I'm not sure what we have right now. It's kind of a call in and see what's.
I would reach out to Petra and Sid and mention that you were on this discussion, and then she can see if they can help you in that area. But somebody, you know, put a very Kathleen put a great comment into chat that there's many hearing aids that cost $6,000 out of pocket, and so you know, your price, I totally agree. In fact, actually, you probably met him, Garrett, the gentleman that invented the Segway. I forgot his name.
Dean Kamen. I actually haven't met him, but
you know, one of the things he was a master medical inventor, and one of the things that when he created this bionic arm for the wounded warriors, his client was the government, and he said, don't you think if it created this great technology that people would be all over the place just writing me checks? And he goes, people don't want to pay. You'll go to Best Buy and buy a $5,000 TV, but if I tell you got to pay $3,000 to have this device that's going to make your life a lot better because you associate it with healthcare and insurance, it's hard for people to stomach, even though it's going to improve their life.
No, I understand that. But on the other hand, if you fancy a sports car, you go buy one, you know, and Zeen is almost a sports car in the lifestyle and mobility world. You know, it's your sit, stand, go. It's a chair that gets up and goes. It's your companion. It's a comfortable chair. You know, what is it worth to be up among your peers at a social gathering rather than sitting down low and, you know, peering up at them, you know? So I believe that the value of it will be manifest, you know.
I agree. And that is one of the best features that I've seen here, that if you compare this to a traditional wheelchair, is that you're stuck at one level. And I love how this enables people to pick their levels. You
Right.
know, it's amazing.
Excuse me, Steve, and all, there will be a brief nose blowing episode. I'll be right back.
Well, okay. Well, Garrett takes care of business there. Petra, Kathleen also asked, is it wide enough to accommodate somebody that might weigh 250 pounds, somebody who's a bit wider in frame?
Yes, we have had people up to 250 and even a little bit beyond 250 in the seat. There's about 21 inches between the armrests. On our website, actually, there are some videos of actual users, some that I did some usability studies with people over the course of last year as we were making some final changes to the design. And we had people that were up to 250 pounds that were using it and were comfortable. The handlebar sits between you and the armrest. So they may need to like lean to one side to bring the handlebar forward and then lean to the other to bring the other. But I got no complaints from anyone that they felt like they were being restricted.
Elizabeth asks, how well would it work with somebody who has a broken hip? Please demonstrate walking with practically all of your weight on your hands.
So you don't need to put all of your weight on your hands. I mean, so a broken hip, if they're able to sit, we actually have one gentleman, he didn't have a broken hip. He had a stroke and he just wanted to be independent again. And he's actually our second eye level chat on our website. He props one leg up and he scoots himself around. I'm gonna knock my water bottle. He scoots himself around with just one foot. So right now I'm not at my full standing height. If I do move up to full standing height, even if I keep 1 foot off the ground, I can have both of my handlebars forward. I'm sitting on this more than I'm standing, but I'm posting myself along. And if you think of, the person that's using the knee wheelie thing, that thing's going to tip over. If somebody has a hip fracture, like I can sit fully supported here, I'm giving my hip support and I can still propel myself. And then as they are allowed to start weight bearing again, you certainly can do partial weight bearing, even just standing with the seat under my backside. It's taking some of my weight. It's not taking a ton right now, but right now I have less than 50% on each foot because part of it's going through the seat. So I could back off.
I love working with Petra because she can say stuff like this with great authority.
Yeah, so I could back some of my weight off and I could do toe touch weight bearing. I could do all of the things. I worked in many different areas in physical therapy, including people with fractured lower limbs. So you could do all of the weight bearing variations on the Zeen.
Margot asks about the caster size. I was wondering this too. How does it handle curb cuts and thresholds and sort of getting stuck and turning and things of that nature?
So curb cuts, it does fine. So the Zeen, as we talked about earlier, the Zeen does weigh about 40 pounds. If you're going uphill with it, that is when you feel the weight of it. Going over a level surface, if we have the seat at the right height, it feels like it's part of you. So going up a bit of a curb cut, that is when you feel like you're pulling it a little bit more. I can show you though, we do have a method to navigate a single step. Okay, so if there is a curb and no curb cut, then what I like to do is, I'm gonna refasten my seatbelt here. One thing I didn't mention when I did my demo, there are locks for the rear cab. Okay, those are useful for when someone is walking outside. It helps to keep the Zeen following behind them. So if they're going across any type of a slope, the weight of the Zeen is going to want to pull down the slope. But if they lock the rear casters, now it's going to follow behind them better. It's also useful for the person that's pushing, that now it has turned it into more like a transport wheelchair. You're steering from your front wheels. You're not, the person that's pushing isn't trying to control the whole, all four wheels going in different directions. To navigate a step, by locking my rear casters, and it's just right over the rear wheel. So in a full seated mode, I'm reaching down and slightly back. So it's not a ton of shoulder motion that you need, that you can lock it yourself. The person that's pushing can very easily lock it themselves as well. So to navigate a single step, I would come up to the point that, so I've run my wheels right into the step. I come up to the point where I'm able to lift the seat high enough that I can get the wheels up the step, okay? And now that I've done that, I can actually put my weight back on the seat and move forward, bring my feet up onto the step. So I'm fully supported the whole way. This is the only point at which I'm gonna need some strength or some assistance. So, because from here, I'm gonna stand up a little bit, and with the casters locked, the wheels roll right up that step, okay? Now, if I'm gonna go down a step, I'm gonna come right to the edge. I'm gonna lower myself down far enough so I can reach my feet all the way down to the ground. Again, I'm still fully supported right now. So now I'm gonna just roll forward, bump the front wheels down, and keep going until the back wheel bumps down too.
Great demo. I like it.
So
Okay, let me look at, there's some other things and comments that I want to make sure that we address because we're getting close to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
And let's see, where are we at here? Suzanne says, I have a son who has one leg shorter than another. He can't walk without crutches. He is a registered nurse and so exhausted. By the end of the day, he utilizes underarm crutches. Would this product work for him?
definitely.
Yeah, I agree, especially with that demo where you talked about the one.
You could prop one foot up. If he has a lift for the shorter leg, then this is going to give him support where he needs it. And that way he can still have both feet on the ground. So, you know, a lot of options that you could have. You could just be propelling with one leg and prop the other leg up. You can set the max height either to that shorter leg, if that's the one you want to be propelling with, or to the longer one. You know, so you've got options.
And you probably get this with a lot of phone calls here, but Dan asks, can you talk about how a person or a caregiver can determine if this product would be appropriate for them? Are there some guidelines, you know, related to activities of daily living or what have you? What are some sort of questions that you ask where it's sort of like, well, does your loved one have X, Y, and Z?
Sure. So
Yes, we have a
we do. We have this is like a medically directed. On the back side of it, it actually has some kind of inclusion and exclusion criteria, user requirements. So
that's on the web too, right?
I don't know that that's on the web.
All the info is, yeah.
But I can share the electronic file with you, Steve, that you could share with everybody on the call, or
That would be great.
however we want to do that. But so the person that's between 100 and 250 pounds, between the, you know, within our height and weight requirements, that they have some active mobility of their legs. So for the individual that has a complete spinal cord injury or has not walked in many years, that they're being just transferred, they're not even participating in the transfer, and really just their own motivation. I've had a lot of people when we were doing the usability study that, oh, this would be great for my dad. And I bring it over and I show it to dad, and dad doesn't care about the fact that he's not walking. and wants nothing to do with it. So I think we all know where that, how that can kind of play out. But having the mental capacity to understand, because there are 3 different sets of levers. There's the lifting levers, there's the brake levers, and then there's also levers to release the handlebars. So when the handlebar is all the way forward, it locks in place. There's a squeeze right here to be able to release it, to rotate it out of the way. So understanding that, and also from that whole restraint piece, understanding what the purpose of the seatbelt is and knowing how to be able to release it so that, we're not considering it a restraint. It is truly the safety mechanism, safety piece that we intend it to be.
Yeah, someone early on in the discussion asked, can the seatbelt be removed? But the more that you go through the demo, you realize that the safety belt is really an essential part of this equipment.
Right. It's to help with this happening.
Yeah.
If you have a knee buckle, if you pass out, those things happen, especially in an elderly population, that suddenly their blood pressure drops and they're down, right? If you're standing with a walker, you're on the ground. If you're standing in the Zeen and you pass out, it's going to catch you. And even if there isn't much of this on our video, but my feet are completely off the ground right now, and I can go to either side as well. And I'm not tipping it over.
Yeah.
Even when I go forward, you can see my back wheels aren't popping up. And if I were to go backwards, I'm sitting back into the seat. So it's a very stable base that we've built, as long as you're on the flat space.
One more small thing, but something that I really like, and that is, if you're out going coasting, it really is great to then further tighten that seatbelt to your coasting position, sitting on the saddle. And therefore you can coast with no hands. You can, you're restrained by the seatbelt, and it just feels fantastic.
Yeah. And, one of the things that if I had to sort of describe to somebody that you should take a look at this, it would be the way you described it is anybody who might be using a walker a significant amount of their day. I believe this is because if they're able to manage with the walker, they probably check a bunch of those boxes. And we're so conditioned to think that a stability device should be in front of us. But I love the idea that it's following behind me and I've got my handlebars, but more importantly, those weight-bearing things that you did, if somebody did any of those things while holding onto their walker, they would still fall over. In fact, the whole walker might fall over and the injury could be worse.
Right.
Yeah, there are 50,000 people a year in the ER from falls from walkers.
Yeah, I love it. Let's see. Trista says, we sell and install lifts that this may be compatible with to stow in a vehicle if they are able to ambulate and have good solutions that they can operate the lift with a remote. They just need to ambulate to the driver's or passenger side. Yeah.
Trista, we have a customer that has such a lift and she loves it. It hauls her Zeen into the back. She doesn't have to do a thing.
And let's see. Okay, I think we are almost to the end. Let me just double check here. And okay. I'm just reminding folks, there's been a couple of, we are recording this. The chat will be recorded. It'll be on our website this afternoon, so you can share it, go back and look at it. You'll also get Petra's contact information in the website. And okay. Oh, let's see. Kathleen says, when you were on the platform and it was about to go down, what would happen if you did not put your feet out in front in time? In other words, would you fall forward? I live in a city and there are curbs at the end of each block. The curbs are much higher than your platform.
Yeah, so my platform is maybe about 6 inches. We do say you can navigate like a single 6-inch step. You could navigate something that's a little bit higher. If you're up here, let me just demonstrate what you're asking. So if you're up here, and especially if you're standing and a wheel goes off the edge, like it's gonna go if you don't have the strength to hold it up here. So my one wheel is down, the other two of them are still on, and you can see my back wheel is tilted up. We actually did have one of our customers who got her zine. She's actually also on our eye level chats on our website. She got her zine. She and her husband went on a cross-country trip with the zine. She didn't see a curb, and one of the wheels went off and over she went. One of the handlebars broke. She did not get hurt. She continued on her cross-country trip. She continued to use her zine despite one of the handlebars being broken, and then came back and saw us when she got back and came in, and we fixed it for her, and she's doing fantastic with it. She has cerebellar ataxia, so a lot of uncontrolled movements, and she has told us she hardly uses her brakes anymore. She hardly uses the caster locks anymore, all because how much more activity she's been able to do. She's walking a couple miles a day where she had only been doing maybe a couple hundred yards. She's lost 30 pounds because she's been able to get more active again.
You look great.
She is beyond ecstatic with her zine, even though she fell with it and fell with it. You know, it wasn't like she fell out of it. She had the seatbelt on. One of the wheels went down and over she went. But again, she didn't get injured. Not to say that somebody else might not, but you know, there's always a chance of injury with any of these devices.
Absolutely.
I just saw one comment. Walking rested is way better than walking exhausted, which is really true.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Walking exhausted probably leads to more falls for
Yeah.
all of us. We've all been through that.
Yeah.
The
One thing that I always like to say too is, you know, when we're looking at a walker, cane, crutches, we're compensating. We're using our upper body for lower body problems. Our upper body wasn't meant to carry our weight as we aged. You know, we're babies and we're supposed to use our upper body and crawl to develop the muscles the right way. We're not supposed to go back to using them as we get older. And that's what we're forced to do with what's currently out there. So this is actually providing you the support where you need it, giving you the options to put your hand on the handlebars if you need it, until you realize, oh, this is supporting me and it's giving me the support through my hips, and I can back off my hands, and now I can get into the cabinets more easily. I can open a door without having to figure out where to put my walker to get through that door.
Just Nancy is just, you know, reiterating that this product, one of the check boxes is somebody who is cognitively intact to the ability that they understand this product. And
Exactly.
it's very important. We had a conversation last week about dementia and Alzheimer's, and you know, in theory, a person with dementia may understand this product. You know, so you can't throw a blanket over and say all cognitive impaired. So that's good. Margot asked about the belt, and she says, my concern would be if someone got hung up on the belt, sort of like a choking or type of cinching type issue.
I mean, I don't think that it's not something that we've noticed
Okay.
of being a problem. We actually, our engineer Daniel went into a pool on the Zeen with the seatbelt on, and like he just slid right out of it. He didn't need to worry about releasing it or anything like that. And not that that's we don't want that to ever happen. But we threw him into the pool on a Zeen just to make sure that it was able, you were going to get out of it relatively easily. So I guess if you did slide down, like you could slide off of it and this could get caught. But because it is on retractors, so it's tight when I'm standing, but it has some flexibility to it. So this is and you can't really tell with all of our black here. I love all of our black, but at the same time, it blends everything together. Where the seatbelt is for me when I'm standing, it's out about equal with the end of the nose of the seat. So for someone, if they have a larger abdomen, then it's going to be even further out. You're not really going to get hung up on it. I wouldn't think.
I love
So,
it. Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it just makes this demo even more thorough, that you were able to address those concerns that folks have.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we got through everything here, and we've gone over an hour. I knew we would, because there's been so much interest about this product. Hats off to you, Garrett, for
And partners, many partners.
and your partners. I think it's amazing, and I look forward to the day where we see these everywhere. And I know that day will come. It's probably not going to be overnight, but if we all get out there and beat the drum, I think it can be a reality. So just a reminder, I'm gonna put the recording up on our site. I'll also have contact information, the chat discussion, and keep us posted on future developments. We'd love to have you back on with as this product evolves.
awesome.
Thanks, Steve. This was great. Thank you. Sorry about my voice, but
Oh no, hey, it sounds like it's you know, like a movie star voice or something. So
in a world, in a
anyways.
world.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay.
And one last thing,
Yep.
I'm going to send you as well. We're doing a webinar ourselves twice on Thursday at 2 and at 7 Eastern time. So I'll send you the link if you want to include that. So if anybody that was here today, those other people they want to share it with, please, I'll send you that link. And if you want to share that with everyone today too, that would be awesome. We welcome the questions. We welcome, being able to demonstrate it. And we're here to answer questions, help take orders for, if you know somebody that could use one, definitely check out the website, call into us.
I love it. All right. Talk to you everybody later.